that. So if you are watching us, hi, I'm Phil, and I'm supposedly in charge. These two are students, and they will know why that is a bad idea that I'm supposedly in charge. But we're going to talk to you about art and all things art at Solihull College and how you do courses and all that sort of thing. And so you will be able to ask us questions and hear all about the arts. But I'm hoping we can see. Oh, good. Yeah, I think we are live because I can sort of see the feed. Good. Click to expand. See? There you go. It is going. Brilliant. We can't see any questions at the moment, but that's okay. I'm sure we'll deal with that. Sean can maybe help me out with that. So let me introduce the arts in general. Okay. So Solihull College, it's a big college and we've got loads of arts all the way from when you're 16 through to, I think the oldest student I've ever taught was in their 60s. So you could just stay here forever, indefinitely, why not? But what we're talking specifically about today, I suppose, is foundation art and design. I've got two foundation art and design students with me. I've got Hannah, who is there, and I've got Eliza, who is there. And they are both right in the middle of foundation art and design now. So they're doing a foundation art and design course. What that is a 1-year standalone course, and it's designed to bridge the gap between college and university. Now, as you'll hear, it's not always as simple as that. It can serve a load of purposes. It can be all about you essentially developing yourself from an FE level art learner to an HE level art learner. And it's about managing that transition. And it changes the way you work. It changes the way that you think. It changes the way you make art. It changes the way you think about what you do and what you want to do in the future. And these two are in the middle of that process in maybe the most challenging year we've ever had for that. It's been quite difficult, wouldn't you say? It's been quite hard. Yeah, it's been quite hard. So this has been sort of how we've been dealing with stuff. We've been doing stuff online and it's been going okay. But really what we want to do is talk to you about why you would do an art course, the benefits of doing an art course, the reasons for maybe taking on art, even if it's not something you originally thought might be something useful for your future, why it can be a really kind of useful thing to take on, and what these two specifically got out of it. And you might be able to ask us questions specifically about it. So let me talk about art in general. We were just talking before we came on. I've got my Bob and Roberta Smith artwork behind me. All schools should be art schools. I'm going to champion the arts a little bit because art is a really, really great thing. What's exciting about the arts is in a world that's changing all the time, I personally, and obviously I'm biased, but I personally think that the arts are the best way to future-proof yourself for the future. Art is about being critical, it's about engaging with stuff, it's about reflecting on things, it's about being experimental, it's about exploring new ideas, it's about trying stuff you've never tried before. And in a world that constantly changes, in a world where technology updates every 5 minutes, the safest way to future-proof yourself is make yourself a reactive, creative person. Transform yourself into somebody who can look at a brand new piece of kit and think, I reckon I could do something with that. I reckon I could make something. I reckon I could try something. I reckon I could experiment with an idea. And in that way, you can always make yourself useful no matter what changes. So the Ual Foundation Course lasts from September to June. And on that course, you try a bit of everything. I mean, this year it's been kind of inhibited because we haven't had access to studios and things. But in a normal year, you try a bit of photography in the studios and in the darkroom. You try bits of 3D, you try print and textiles and fashion. You try bits of graphic design, obviously drawing, life drawing, painting, all of those things. The idea is that you discover what it is that you do as a creative person. What is it that you make? What's your little area of the arts? What's your specialism? And then you're invited to push that in any direction you want. And that's what gets so wild and interesting about foundation art and design. And these two will tell you is that very quickly, I'm not going to tell you what to do. And that can be really distinct because up to this point, maybe things are brief led, maybe things are about directing you in a certain direction, and that's necessary, that's needed in art education. But once you hit foundation, it starts to be about you making some decisions. It starts to be about you deciding, I'd quite like to do this, or maybe I'm going to explore this, or I'm very passionate about this. That process of researching your own area of interest, that process of developing your own direction in the arts, of being critical about your own work, of deciding what you like about what you've done and what you don't like, and what you're going to push forward and what you're not. That's such an important process, and that's how you become independent. And really, I think the major job of the foundation course is to turn you into an independent, autonomous artist by the end of the process. And that's what these two are in the journey now doing. Now, we've done the first project and we've done the second project. We're standing on the precipice of the biggest moment in the art and design course, which is the final major project. And that project is where these students pick exactly what they want to do and how they want to do it. So they are now fully autonomous students. Both Hannah and Eliza make all their own decisions. I support them. I sometimes confuse them and probably sometimes irritate them, but they're fully independent and they're driving their own learning. And that's brilliant, because it means once you get to uni, you can be really independent. And that really is the best way to be successful at university. You've got to be independent. You've got to be able to drive your own learning. So that's the journey that we've been on. I'm going to ask Hannah and Eliza now about their own experience. So I'm going to start with Hannah. Hannah, tell us why did you join Foundation Art and Design? What was behind that decision for you?
So I went to uni straight away after I finished school, and I did a course of English and film. So I did my first year of that course last year. And by the end of it, I just felt very unmotivated to carry on. Like, it wasn't like my creative passion for it just went completely downhill. So over lockdown, I had like a think about it, and I decided that probably going forward, I wanted to do something that was a lot more artistic, a lot more like creatively driven, rather than the course that I was on, which was a bit more theory based. So I decided, probably in one of the rashest decisions I've ever made, to drop out and apply for the Art Foundation. And yeah, here we are.
That's, I mean, I think it's been a really great decision, most definitely, because it's been a process for you, hasn't it, of sort of backing out of one direction you were going in and heading into another, which is a really brave thing to do. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people get stuck, don't they, in one direction, and they don't pull out of that. So for you, what have been the major learning points on Foundation? What do you think is different about you from when you started to kind of now?
I feel like it has allowed me to like explore my self-awareness and self-expression in topics that like I'm interested in specifically. So like my first and second project were in things that I was like very passionate about, and it gave me the chance to like explore these further and then create something which I like to like read. I like to read theory and stuff, but it gave me an outlook to make these ideas I have into something physical and actually like explore different themes with other people and share these ideas as well.
Yeah, I think that has been the journey you've been on. I can see your projects growing. You are a big reader, you're a big thinker, and you've been able to push that, haven't you, in the direction that you want.
Yeah.
You've been able to think, okay, I'm just going to head down this rabbit hole. Wherever it goes, I'm following it. And that's the great thing about art, isn't it? It's that there isn't a wrong answer here. There's just a great way of engaging. And that's really worked for you. All right, we'll come back to that, definitely. We're gonna unpick that some more. Eliza, why did you join Foundation? What was it about for you?
It was actually a very last minute decision for me, because I did GCSE art, but honestly, I didn't enjoy it. I've said before, but you know, in GCSE art, it's very rigid. You have to follow exactly what the teacher tells you to do, and by the end of it I was sick of drawing carrots, you know. And I went on to doing A levels, and I decided not to continue doing art just because I really hated the way, you know, the school ran it. So I did film, English and psychology, and I hated it. It wasn't for me. Film studies I really did enjoy, but you know, I did a year and a half of that.
So this was at a separate college, wasn't it? This was somewhere else entirely. You're doing these things, and you just thought, kind of like Hannah found, you were going in a direction you didn't want to, and you were thinking, okay, this isn't the right way to go. And is this where kind of Foundation comes in? It was sort of, it's the lifeline.
Yeah, well, actually for me, it was weird. I had to drop out of my A levels a year and a half through because I had some bad health. So I dropped out in December, and I had from January up to think it was July, and I hadn't been doing anything. You know, I've been sorting out my health and getting better. And I think it was in June or July. My mum spoke to me and she said, "Oh, I found this really good course. A friend recommended it to her." And I was like, "Oh, I'll give it a try." So it was, you know, really like a very on the whim decision, because I've been into art, so I thought it go, and it has. I've never been happier. Like, this is the happiest I've ever been in education.
That's brilliant. What do you think it is that's made you that happy doing an art course? Is it the freedom? Is it like, what is it that's really worked for you?
I think it is the freedom and the fact I'm dyslexic, and I really, really don't enjoy theory or writing. And it's just the fact that I can work at my own pace and, you know, do something I love, and have the freedom. You know, I'm not drawing carrots anymore.
Yeah, you finally retired from drawing carrots. You've sort of become an illustrator, haven't you? Through the duration of the course, you've become an illustrator, and you've applied to do that at university. That has been part of the process you've been on. What skills do you think you've learned on the course that have prepared you for university?
So many. I remember when I started and we did the first project, and I was having like panics about not, you know, being told what to do. And I remember at one point I cried to you and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And you know, you talked to me, and I trusted what you said to me, and now I think I'm completely what's the word? I'm like, I can work by myself. I've lost the word there, but
yeah, you're independent. You're autonomous.
Independent, yeah. The last project I did, you know, pretty much all by myself, and with this project now, I'm ready. I can't wait to start it, and I feel so confident in myself. And yeah, I don't think if I started uni straight away, I don't think I would have managed at all, because I just feel so much more educated, and I actually feel like an artist now, whereas before I just felt like someone who liked art, you know.
That's really brilliant to hear. I think that's a really great point you raise as well. And Hannah might be able to chip in here, having experienced a year of uni. I really think it's an advantage to do something like an Art Foundation course first, because you learn, don't you, that sense of independence, that sense of independent inquiry, being able to manage your own time, being able to manage your own project, being able to critically review your own stuff. And once you've done it, because I did a foundation course as well when I wasn't so old, I did one before I did uni, and it did exactly the same thing for me. I went to uni and thought, I don't know whether I'd have dealt with this very well without foundation art and design. I don't know whether this would have suited me. I don't know if I'd have had the independent working skills. So Hannah, did you find that at uni, have you learnt stuff on the foundation you're thinking, actually, this will make me better now that I go to university?
Yeah, at the beginning, I guess, because there is a bit of guidance. You have to really like buck up your ideas and like actually work on your time management. Because I feel like before, when I went straight into uni, it was very much like you're on your own. Like there's not like just someone you can like just go to and get all the answers from immediately. Whereas like through the Art Foundation, it gives you like stepping stones to reach that point by the final project, which is really helpful for like obviously applying for uni for the next year.
Yeah, totally. And I think there's a sense, isn't there, that at university there is a lot of independence required to be particularly successful, and that maybe the leap from college to uni is actually quite big, isn't it? It's actually quite a big thing, and doing something like a foundation art and design course can really help build those skills. I'm going to talk about like art skills now and stuff, because we're all kind of artists, and we are kind of, I think one of the things you're asked, I don't know if you two have been asked this yet, perhaps everybody is still being wonderfully supportive of you, as they should do, but I think as an artist at points you are undoubtedly going to be asked, what are you going to do with that? You know what I mean? I was asked that, so I still get asked, what are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with these things? So I'll start with you, Hannah. What do you think you're learning on an art course, on a creative course, that you can take into your future? What is it you think that's going to be of use, so I can be employed in that?
Well, I guess on like a very general sense, like research and having to like work by yourself. and like investigating different topics, reading. It's like a very like range of things that you're learning, as well as like actually getting involved, working in teams, having to sometimes put yourself out there when you really don't want to, especially now that we're all online. It's very easy to just hide behind a camera and not actually say anything. But yeah, especially Phil makes it very easy, and he does nudge us to actually contribute to discussions and stuff, which is all amazing stuff for future.
Yeah, it really is. And this is what I'm always trying to push. There's the obvious stuff in the arts that you can take forward. You're both developing skills. Hannah is like a fine artist, Eliza is an illustrator, and there are jobs waiting for you to do that. You can go and be those things. But as Hannah's pointing out, broadly, there's this set of skills you learn being an artist that are just invaluable in any workplace. The ability to generate an idea from nothing. The idea that you are presented with a problem and you're like, okay, I can solve this problem with creativity. That's invaluable to any business. And then, as you're saying, the ability to pitch that, the ability to sit in front of a group of people and go, here is my idea, and I'm going to argue for that idea. This is why it's a good idea. This is why I came up with it. These are the changes I made to it. This is the final thing. And this is why I think it's a good idea. That is obviously applicable to the arts, but you could take that into any business. You could take it into advertising, media, all sorts of stuff, but also totally unrelated careers. And your ability to pitch an idea confidently, your ability to articulate your ideas is a really, really sought after ability. Not everybody can do it, and an art course is something that develops it. And yeah, you guys have been doing that really well. Eliza, what skills do you think you've learned on the foundation course that you're like, I've grown in that way and I'm going to take that forward into my future?
Well, one thing that I've learned is that, before I did Art Foundation, I kind of just made art just for fun, and it was, drawing whatever came into my head. So maybe I'll draw, sunflower or something. But now I find with my art, I actually make meaningful art that can make change. With my last project, I did it all on my experience of autism, and I found through doing that, I really was able to explore myself and learn more about myself. And then my end project, final piece, I shared with a lot of people, and it actually made real change to people, and a lot of people could relate to me, and it was quite nice to see my art actually have meaningful impact and invoke change.
Absolutely. That's such a big one. As artists, we make things that can change people's minds, change the way people view things. You can raise attention for an issue, you can challenge an issue, you can start a discussion about something. It's a really powerful tool, art, a really powerful tool. And it's so brilliant that you think, as part of the foundation, you've been able to ask all these questions and raise all these ideas and actually affect people positively, actually change people's minds about stuff and raise awareness. They're invaluable skills. We were talking just before this, weren't we, about kind of the market and the idea of employability. And I think we've covered there a lot of the ways that art can help you be more employable. Studying art and studying art at Solihull College, because we've got everything from kind of 16 all the way through to adult courses, it can give you skills that you could take into the workplace. But more broadly than that, it just kind of turns a switch on in you, doesn't it? You just kind of think, I'm glad I know this now. I'm glad I read that thing. I'm glad I made this artwork. I'm glad I had that discussion. They're kind of life-affirming discussions. You grow as a person. And I think Eliza's spot on. You kind of feel like you know yourself a bit better. I think I've kind of spent a load of time thinking about what I feel about this thing, or thinking about how I understand this thing. And seeing as we're in an online space, we know that over the last 10 years or so, and particularly over the last 5, the online space is an intense space of kind of change. It's a catalyst for change, and there's all sorts going on in it. And the idea that you can kind of unpick what's true and what's not, and the idea that you're confident, understanding what you're seeing and reading imagery, empathizing with those that need to be empathized with, unpicking things that need to be unpicked, they're all skills that you pick up, aren't they, as an art student? You learn to read images. What is that image about? What does it mean? Can I pick it apart and understand the way that it works? How will my audience feel about this? you start to understand how you communicate, how people read what you do. I think they're really valuable skills. I think they're really good. I'm just wondering whether we can take questions. I can't see any questions, but if Sean is listening, he might be able to see some questions and he could text them through. Oh, we've got one up here. That's good. Charlotte says, what was your favourite project you've worked on during the course? That's a really good question. I'm going to pitch it to Hannah first. What's the favourite thing you've done so far?
I think I'd probably say the first project. I think because it was very new at the time and we're just allowed to go for it, like straight in. You got in, you were just like, go. We were able to just literally explore whatever we wanted, work out what it was that was interesting to us, and actually like become a bit more self-aware on the type of art, like immediately that you want to make. I would say probably the first project. Yeah,
I love that bit because it's often, isn't it? It's the first time, and it was for me when I was a student. It's the first time that you're given a space, a load of facilities, a tutor, a load of friends, and someone says, go for it. What do you want to make? And you're like, really? This isn't a trick? Like there's not, and it's great fun to just launch into it. And I agree. I think that project was big for you, wasn't it? You explored a load of stuff. You did life drawing and you did painting and you worked with text, and we ended up actually installing that, didn't we? You did an exhibition and that work was in a show. So that was a big project for you. That's great. Yeah. Eliza, what was your favourite project so far?
I think I'm not that far into it, but I'm really excited and looking forward to the project I'm on now.
Yeah.
I found I've improved so quickly since September. And I feel like each project has just gone up a level. So with this project, I'm so excited because I feel like it's going to go step up another level for my second project. But since I haven't started, I would say my second project, because the first project I did was quite, superficial. Like I chose to focus on nature because I thought nature was pretty. Like there was no real meaning to it. It was just, oh, it's pretty, let's do that. And then with the second project, I did something really personal. And it really helped me develop as a person, and I really liked how personal and meaningful it was. And this next project is quite close to me as well, so I'm really looking forward to learning more and improving.
Definitely. I think the final project that Eliza's talking about, that we're just starting now, is really the centerpiece of most of our art and design courses. So when you come towards the end of our art and design courses, you tend to hit what's called the final major project. It tends to be an extended project. It happens over a couple of months rather than a number of weeks. And it's about you really taking the wheel and guiding your own project totally. You decide what you're going to research, what you're going to explore, how you're going to explore it, the strategies you're going to use, and then you make an outcome ready for exhibition. So it is a very personal thing. It's all about autonomy, independence. It builds all those skills. And the idea is that once you've finished it, as Eliza's describing, you're ready to go up to the next level. Every time you finish one of these, you're ready to step up. So the idea is you develop a practice here that moves you forward. Have you got your sketchbook there, Eliza? Show us a bit. Show us some of your favourite pages in there. That would be good.
Very cool. Well, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, all the students work in sketchbooks, so you might not all know how we work. We work in any number of ways. So the students might be illustrators, they might be future architects, they might be fashion designers, they might be fine artists, they could be anything. But what we're teaching is developing a creative process that you could take into any of those fields. So the way that we mostly start is we record ideas, we try stuff, we think, we explore, and a lot of that raw experimentation happens in the sketchbook. And Eliza is a particularly good sketchbooker, so I think we're gonna be able to see the sketchbook now.
Yeah. Well, this is my first one, which is my least favourite. But,
okay, that's fine.
Okay, my whole second project I did digitally, so I had it on Tumblr, I think, Tumblr. So that's my entire sketchbook on Tumblr. But this is my first project. You can see how full it was. It's completely full. Let me try and find something that I like. So this first project, I didn't identify as an illustrator. I went into it just exploring every type of art style I could think of. So I've got I did a ton on wax, I did painting, I did a lot of photography, I did like work with sewing. This entire book is full, and through doing this I came to find that I really liked the work that was quite delicate and quite more illustratively made, and that's how I developed my style.
Yeah, your style really emerged, didn't it, through that project? You kind of discovered, oh yeah, I keep being drawn to illustration. Yeah, show us some more images. Yeah, so you've got collage, you've got textiles, you've got sewing and printing, photography, paintings, and yeah, watercolors and things.
This was without, you know, all the facilities we would normally have. So think about how much more we could do. Let me have a look. It's so full. I can't. I've got some like. This is like when I started doing a lot of illustrative work in fine liners. Let me see. I did a lot of little illustrations. So it started off quite fine art, and then I saw this. You
became an illustrator through the course of the project. How many hours of work do you think you've poured into this sketchbook? Because it is a big sketchbook, isn't it? How many hours, how regularly did you work on your art for this?
A lot. The thing is, it didn't feel like work to me. Like I did it every single day, but it didn't feel like work. I really enjoyed it, and I looked forward to waking up the next day and making art. Like when I was doing my A levels and my original art course in GCSEs, I dreaded doing my work. And I put it off and put it off. I had to force myself to do it. But with this, I just did it naturally. Like a lot of people have asked me, like, how have you made so much? And I'm like, I don't know. I just really enjoyed it.
I think that's one of the keys, isn't it, to art and design, is that it overlaps, doesn't it, often with what our passion is. So for you, Hannah, you changed direction because you knew you wanted to explore art, and it wasn't because you were making necessarily a decision that was pragmatic at the time. It was about you thinking, what am I passionate about? What am I drawn towards? So for you, how much of your week is art? How much of your time are you spending making and exploring and reading?
Well, I think I work a lot less like Eliza. I work in like short bursts, so I like to do a lot of reading, a lot of research, and then when I feel like I have enough ideas, then I'll just scroll it all out in either a sketchbook or a notebook. But at least like every day, at least maybe for like a few hours, sometimes more, sometimes less. It just depends when I feel like I have something that I feel is important to like write down or note down or sketch down.
You're a constant thinker, aren't you? You're always reading, you're always thinking, you're kind of always making. When does it feel like work and when does it feel like a passion? Is it fair to say that it occupies your time because it's something you're really passionate about? This is what you want to do, isn't it?
It doesn't really ever feel like work. I think especially even like the reading part, and I don't even really enjoy reading, but when it's something that I know that I can get something out of it at the end and it's going to like influence the way like I work, then I feel like it doesn't really feel like hard work. It's just like just comes naturally.
Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? Art it's a passion, and it's great to be able to kind of channel that into a course. We've got a couple of questions that appeared, which is great. We've got Sean saying, do you collaborate with other students on projects? Yeah, we kind of do. We would normally be working towards a big final exhibition that we'd all put up together, but we did put up a show together, didn't we? And we do often discuss stuff together, and that is collaborative. It's really important to learn to work with each other. Maybe, yeah, Hannah, you could briefly talk about that process. There's peer review and stuff, isn't there, that becomes important. Yeah. Why is that important?
Well, yeah, we've been using Teams lately, and at the end of the last project, we were showing our websites in small groups in like the breakout rooms on Teams, and just seeing what initial reactions and thoughts other people had to our work. Because I think it's important to know that not only is it like aesthetically pleasing, but is the point and the message of your work that you wanted to push across actually coming across to people. And I think we're all close enough in a group to be like, tell each other what's wrong and what's good about it. And I think like that is like crucial in a creative environment. Otherwise your work will just plateau and it won't actually get to the point that you want it to get it to.
Totally. That's it. It is all about forming a community around your work, and it's all about building that confidence. How do you find out whether something works or not? You can ask yourself, but your own judgment is flawed, isn't it? You don't know everything about a piece of work. It's about seeking others' opinions. What do you think of this? What do you read this to be? What does this say to you? And you can learn a lot through understanding how people read your work. There's another question here. What careers do you hope to go on to? So Eliza, what career do you hope to go on to from this?
Well, honestly, I'm not certain yet on what exactly I want to go into, but I've got a few options. So I'm considering maybe going into tattooing because it's something I'm really passionate about and I really like to do. I'm also considering maybe going into illustrating books or, you know, advertisement, or I mean anything really. And if I decide in a few years I don't want to work illustratively anymore, this course and the uni course I achieve will work towards different forms of art. So just because I'm doing illustration now doesn't mean I have to stick to it.
That's totally right. Yeah. So your aim is to be an illustrator and you're going to guide it in that direction, but you might become interested in advertising. You might be interested in graphic design in the future. And the skills you've learned, it's the same. You just apply that skill set, that curious kind of intellectual inquiry, that process of refining an idea, of seeking peer review, of making something as good as it can be. You just apply it somewhere else. Absolutely. Yeah. Hannah, what's your plan? What would you like to do in the future?
I'm not 100% sure. My future changes quite often. At the moment, I'm looking into like visual media. So maybe film, maybe photography, something around that aspect. But I'm doing fine art next year, so it might completely change within a year or two.
Yeah, degrees are big things, and you will undoubtedly change across your degree. But yeah, I think the point is there, isn't it? That doing an art and design course kind of opens doors. It prepares you for a range of things, and you can then shape those skills for a range of careers, which is why I think it's so exciting. I think it future-proofs you. It prepares you for a future that will change. You might end up working in an industry that doesn't yet exist, and that's a pretty cool thought. You know, your job, your career might take place in an industry that doesn't exist yet. Who knows what it'll be? Holographic films, who knows? But that could be you. Okay, let's see if there's any other questions appeared. I can't see that there are many. I think it's probably worth talking about kind of application process and things like that. So there's a number of courses available for whatever stage you're at. Both Eliza and Hannah were at the stage to do a foundation art design course, which is about you bridging the gap between college level learning and high level learning. But depending on where you're at, if you're listening out there, you might be at any number of different stages in this process. So you might be 16 and you might be leaving school. We've got a whole range of art and design courses and creative courses that you could join. You can find them on the website at solihull.ac.uk. You might be 18 like Eliza and Hannah, and you might be looking for something to bridge the gap up to uni. A foundation course would be great for you. Again, you can make an application online. Now is the time. Or you might be a university level learner thinking, okay, I've done college and now I want to study at university level. We can offer you that as well. You can explore those things. We've got a professional creative practice degree that is 3 years of all things creative: graphic design, art, photography, film, all built into one kind of creative process driven course that will produce at the end a new version of you that is 10 times as creative and ready to go and make an impact in the creative industry in whatever way you want to go and do it. For any of those things, if you just go to solihull.ac.uk, you can find out about those things. In March, we've got some virtual open day events coming up. So if you check on the website, you'll be able to see that we've got a range of interactive days. You can speak to more tutors like me. You can have some virtual tours. You can look at images of the artwork that we produce in the college. You can look at all the other courses that we do across the college. Maybe you're not an artist and you're thinking, but I want to do something at college. That will also be fine. You can do that. You can explore that in March at our virtual open days. So they are all the options to you. So if there's no further questions, I'm going to say thank you very much to Eliza and to Hannah. They are both brilliant students and brilliant human beings. Look out for them in the future, because you will be visiting their shows and their exhibitions and buying their illustrations, I'm 100% sure. So thanks to you both. Very good stuff, as always. And yeah, if you're out there and you're thinking, should I give art a go? Give it a go. Give us a call. Go on the website, put in an application, ask us some questions. When you apply for a course, you'll be asked to send us a little bit of work, and we'll just call you for an informal chat. It's not scary, it's not a big deal. You can just find out a bit more. And as these two know, sometimes you just got to roll the dice and think, maybe that'll work for me. And it works out pretty well, doesn't it? It's gone okay. It's been a good thing. Okay, thanks to you both. Thanks everyone out there. Have a good evening and consider art. All schools should be art schools. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.